minus 1, which is again it will be equal to 2 to the power of k. Okay, so this is the final answer that I need to prove. So in order to prove that final answer, what I will do is this time I will take the, okay, so as I have told you, the final answer will be RHS will be 2 power k, and here it will be k plus 1 factorial. So depending upon that, now I will take 2 power k. Okay, so as I have told you, you will get to know the final answer, that is 2 power k. So now this 2 power k I will take, and this 2 power k can be written as 2 to the power of k minus 1 into 2, correct, right? In general, for example, if I have 5 to the power of 4, okay, so suppose if I have 5 to the power of 4, this can be written as 5 to the power of 3 into 5, right? So the same 5 to the power of 4 can be written as 5 to the power of 3 into 5. Both are same. So in a similar way, I can write 2 to the power of k as 2 to the power of k minus 1 into 2. Okay. So further, what I will do is, I don't know the value of 2 to the power of k minus 1, but from the assumption stage, I know that there is a term called k factorial whose value is greater than or equal to 2 to the power of k minus 1. I repeat, I don't know the value of 2 to the power of k minus 1, but I know that there is a term called k factorial whose value is greater than or equal to 2 to the power of k minus 1. Okay, so depending upon that, what I will do is, I will just replace this 2 to the power of k minus 1 with the k factorial. If I replace that, since I am replacing, just observe this step now. So this 2 to the power of k I will written as it is. This 2 I will written as it is. In place of 2 power k minus 1, from the assumption stage, I will replace with the k factorial. Since k factorial is greater than or equal to 2 to the power of k minus 1, now this equal to symbol will become lesser than or equal to, because RHS will be greater. Because since I am replacing 2 to the power of k minus 1 with a greater term, this equal to will become lesser now. Okay, so because this side it will be greater, right? So now after this, see, actually you just have to observe here, the final answer that is required for me is, as I have told you, just you have to replace k with k plus 1. If you replace that, the final answer what I will get is k plus 1 factorial. So the final answer will be k plus 1 factorial is greater than or equal to 2 to the power k plus 1 minus 1, that will be equal to 2 power k. Okay, so this is the final answer that is required for me. In order to get that final answer, already I have 2 power k lesser than or equal to k factorial into 2 I have, where I need to replace that with k plus 1 factorial, right? Okay, so okay, fine. So in order to do that, what I will do is, so whatever the statement that he has given in the beginning, you just observe here, the statement whatever he has given, he has told that the statement is valid for all the values of n greater than or equal to 1, right? So if I replace this with the k, so here this statement is valid for all the values of k greater than or equal to 1, correct, right? Because I'm replacing the value of n with k. Okay, so k greater than or equal to 1, so that what I will do is, okay, so I have k greater than or equal to 1. I will just add 1 on both sides. If I add 1 on both sides, what will happen? K plus 1, so will be greater than or equal to 2, because I am adding 1 on both sides. So this side it will become k plus 1. So this side it will become 1 plus 1, that is equal to 2. Okay, so now k plus 1 is greater than or equal to 2. So already what I had here is, in the previous page, if you observe, what I had is 2 power k is less than or equal to k factorial into 2. Okay, but now I will replace this number 2. Okay, so I will replace this number 2 with what? With k plus 1. But this 2 is exactly not equal to k plus 1. But I know that this k plus 1 is greater than or equal to 2. So depending upon that, already this right hand side is greater compared to the left hand side. If I replace 2 with again a greater number, this symbol won't get changed. Okay, so this will be k factorial into k plus 1. Okay, in general, suppose if I have 5 factorial, okay, suppose if I have 5 factorial, if I multiply this 5 factorial with 6, what will happen? It will become 6 factorial, right? Suppose in the same way, if I have 10 factorial, if I multiply with 11, it will become 11 factorial. In the same way, here I have k factorial, I am multiplying that with the k plus 1, so it will become k plus 1 factorial. And that is what is a required result. I told you, right? So in the assumption stage, I had k factorial is greater than or equal to 2 to the power of k minus 1. So the final result that you need to prove, I told you, I have given you the hint, right? Just you have to replace a k with k plus 1. So if you do that, this is the expression that you will get. I know this is a little bit confusing, but I told you, right? I'm using the same procedure. Okay, so in the assumption stage, whatever the expression that I had, whatever the statement that I had, So previously what I used to do is I used to add a term on both sides. So this is the type 2 problems. In the type 2 we have only 2 problems. Okay, so as I have told you in the question paper, he won't even change the questions. Okay, these are the standard questions. He will give the same questions. Okay, so in this topic you have only 2 questions. For these 2 questions, this is the procedure that you should follow. It's very simple. So in the assumption stage you had this, you know that the final answer will be k plus 1 factorial will be greater than or equal to 2 power k. So in order to get that statement, I will take 2 power k. Okay, so now I will replace now I will rewrite this 2 power k in such a way that I can take the help from assumption stage. Okay, so that is this 2 power k can be written as 2 power k minus 1 into 2. Why I have written 2 power k minus 1 only? Because I know in the assumption stage there is a value for the 2 power k minus 1. Okay, so that is k factorial. So now I will replace this 2 power k minus 1 with the k factorial, but this k factorial is greater than or equal to 2 power k minus 1. So therefore this equal to symbol will become less than or equal to. Okay, but we already know the final answer should be k plus 1 factorial, but here I have k factorial. Okay, so somehow I need to replace this 2 with k plus 1. Because because that is the only way, right? If I replace this 2 with k plus 1 only, then I will get k plus 1 factorial. In order to replace that, what I had is k is greater than or equal to 1. So now I'm checking for the 2, right? So I will just add 1. So if I add 1, it will become k plus 1 is greater than or equal to 2. So now I will replace this 2 value with k plus 1. So I will get this final expression. Okay. So any doubt in the students? So as I have told you, if you observe this in the notes again, you will understand better. Okay. And one more thing I'm telling you, in the mathematical induction, always they will ask the standard questions. Fine. You need not worry about that. He won't change the question. Okay. So next you have the recursive definitions, that is Fibonacci, Lucas numbers. Everywhere he'll be asking the same type of questions. Okay. So next we have one more problem. So okay, both of these are exam problems. Okay, so they will ask, these are important for the exam. So this question, what he is telling is, by the mathematical induction, prove that 4 into n is less than n square minus 7 for all the positive integers n greater than or equal to 6. See, actually in this question, actually here the least value is not 1, here the least value is 6. Okay, so as we already know, in the basic step, what we will do, we will replace the value of n with the least value, and we check whether we get the valid statement or not. Okay, so if I replace the value of n with 6, what I will get? 4 into 6 is less than 6 square minus 7, so that is equal to 29. Okay, so 24 is less than 29. So this is valid, right? 24 is less than 29, that is correct. So next what I will do, next the statement that I need to assume now, I will assume that the statement is true for n is equal to k. If I assume that this can be written as 4k is less than k square minus 7, correct, right? So now you can only guess the final answer. Students, the final answer will be, just I have to replace the k with k plus 1. So then the final answer will be 4 times of k plus 1 is less than k plus 1 whole square minus 7. Correct, right? So that is what is the final statement that we need to prove. In order to prove that, what I will do, in the previous type 1 problems, I used to add a term on both sides. Okay, so this problem is not of that type. Okay, so here what I will do is, as I have told you, I can guess the final answer. It will be 4 to the power of k plus 1. 4 into k plus 1 will be less than k plus 1 whole square minus 7, out of which I will take one term, that is 4 times of k plus 1. Okay, so I will try to rewrite in such a way that where I can take the help from assumption stage. Okay, so 4 times of k plus 1, I can write it as 4k plus 4. Why I have written in this way? Because this, I know the value for the 4k from the assumption stage. I know the value of 4k. So now I have written this 4 times of k plus 1 as 4k plus 4. Next, what I will do is, this 4k, I will replace this with the term k square minus 7. But this 4k is not exactly equal to k square minus 7. Instead, this k square minus 7 term is greater than 4k. If I replace the 4k with a greater term, obviously this right hand side will become greater. Correct, right? So depending upon that, so now I have rewritten this 4 times of k plus 1 is less than k square minus 7 plus 4. But you already know the final answer should be k plus 1 whole square minus 7. But here I have k square minus 7. Okay, so now I have to, if I have to get this one. Okay, so as I have told you, this is the final answer, that is k plus 1 whole square minus 7. So minus 7 already I have, correct, right? So in this term already I have minus 7. but this plus 4 somehow I have to replace, because what is the final term that is required for me is k plus 1 whole square. Let me do some reverse engineering. If I have to get k plus 1 whole square, we already know the expansion of k plus 1 whole square, right? So that will be equal to k square plus 1 square plus 2k, correct, right? So now clearly now this will tell us somehow I need to replace this 4 with 2k plus 1. I repeat, if I have to get k plus 1 whole square minus 7, k plus 1 whole square I have just expanded. Okay, so it will be k square plus 2k plus 1. Already I have k square minus 7, it is required. So okay, I should not touch that. Somehow I have to replace this plus 4 with 2k plus 1. If I have to replace that, what I have now, what I have is k is greater than or equal to 6. This is what I have, because he told that this statement is valid for all the values of n greater than or equal to 6. Okay, so in the assumption stage I have replaced n with k, so it will be k greater than or equal to 6. Okay, so just depending upon whatever I need, I'll be start replacing this. Okay, so I need 2k plus 1. Okay, so first I will multiply with the 2. If I multiply with 2, what I will get? 2k is greater than or equal to 12. But I need plus 1 also. Depending upon that, I will add plus 1. See, whatever you do, whether you multiply, you add, you subtract, whatever you do, you have to do both in the LHS and the RHS. Depending upon that rule, now I have added plus 1. If I add plus 1, 2k plus 1 will be greater than or equal to 13. Now students, I think it's very clear. If some term, so see this term 2k plus 1 is greater than or equal to 13. If some term is greater than 13, obviously it will be greater than 4 also, right? See, actually I have written here greater than or equal to, no, it will be just greater than. Okay, because here it is greater than or equal to 13. For 13, if it is equal to, then it has to be only greater than here. Okay, I think I think you can understand that, right? So now this 2k plus 1, if it is greater than or equal to 13, obviously it will be greater than 4 also. Why I am comparing only with the 4? Because that is what I need to replace here, right? So here I had 4, so here I have 4. Instead of 4, what I will do, I will replace that with a 2k plus 1. Already RHS it is greater, so now it will be even more greater. Correct, right? So this 4 I will replace with 2k plus 1. So now I have k square plus 2k plus 1 minus 7. So this can be written as k plus 1 whole square minus 7. See students, actually these kind of problems I told you, right? One advantage is obviously you will get to know what is the final answer. Correct, right? So in the basic step you will replace with the least value. That part there is no confusion for you. In the induction stage, in the first step, what you will do as a assumption part, you will just assume the result is true for the n is equal to k. Okay, so you will only get to know the final answer also. So in order to get that final answer, what are all the things that you have to do? You have to be careful with that. I think, is there any confusion with this? Can I go with the next type? Understood, right? Very good. See, in this topic, actually, easily you can score the marks. Just wait. See, these Ackermans and Euclidean numbers, actually, in the new syllabus, he won't ask, okay? So, don't worry about these problems. So, directly, let us come to type 3. So, in the type 3, before this first problem, let me first explain this one. Let me take this. I'll explain that again. Okay, so let us see. I'll explain this. See, actually, carefully now read the question. Prove by the mathematical induction 3. This is number 3. Okay, so the number 3 divides n cube minus n for all the values of n greater than or equal to 2. Correct, right? So now the procedure remains same, students. So here the least value will be equal to 2, because he is telling that the statement is true for all the values of n greater than or equal to 2. Correct, right? So depending upon that, so in the first stage I will just replace the statement with the least value. If I replace the n value with the 2, what I will get? 2 cube minus 2. So 2 cube in the sense 8. 8 minus 2 is 6. Obviously the number 6, 3 will divide that number, right? So whatever the statement that he has given, that is 3 divides n cube minus n, the statement is true for the least value, that is n is equal to 2. Okay, so next what you will do in the induction stage, the same procedure. So in the next stage, I have to assume the statement is true for n is equal to k. So if I assume that the statement is true for n is equal to k, I can write this as 3 divides k cube minus n. Okay, so I can write 3 divides k cube minus k. Okay, so now students, carefully you have to observe here. If I tell 5 divides 10. If I tell 5 divides 10, how it is possible? If you ask me to give the justification, what I will do is 5 into 2 is equal to 10. That is the justification that I will give for you. Correct, right? In the similar way, if I tell 6 divides 18, if you ask me to give the justification, what I will do is I will tell 6 into 3 is 18. Correct, right? So here, if I tell 3 divides k cube minus k, what is the justification for that? We can't give the justification because we don't know the value of k. But still, I'll take one variable. Okay. So 3 into some number, definitely it should give this k cube minus k. That is why 3, I can tell 3 divides k cube minus k. Okay. So what is that number? I don't know. I will take some variable, that is 3 into m is equal to k cube minus k. Fine. So I have taken 3 into m is equal to k cube minus k. So after that, what is the next stage? Next stage, you only know. So now I need to prove the result is true for k plus 1. Correct, right? So if what I need to prove is 3 into some number should also divide k. What is the next term for this? The next term will be k plus 1 whole cube minus k plus 1. Correct, right? I'll repeat. So the next one will be, just you have to replace the k with k plus 1. I'm telling the same thing from the first problem of the mathematical induction. I'm telling the same thing, right? So the next one, if you have to get the next one, just you have to replace the k with k plus 1. So now you need to check whether k plus 1 whole cube minus of k plus 1, that is also divisible by 3. Okay. So now this is the term that I need to check whether it is divisible by 3 or not. Okay. So directly I have taken that term. So now I need to check whether this k plus 1 whole cube minus of k plus 1, this is also divisible by 3. Fine. So in order to check that, what I will do is, first I cannot expand this k plus 1. Correct, right? Already it is in the simplified way, but I can expand this k plus 1 whole cube. You know the expansion for a plus b whole cube, right? So that is given by a cube plus b cube plus 3ab into a plus b. See, here I have written the expansion for a plus b whole cube. Depending upon that, I will just expand this. This can be written as k cube plus 1 cube plus 3k into k plus 1 minus of k plus 1. Okay. So after expanding this, what I can do, I can just cancel this minus 1 and plus 1, just I have simplifying this. So now if you observe this term, okay, so this is 3k of k plus 1. So this term is a multiple of 3. See, now I have to just check this entire term is 3 will divide this entire term. Correct, right? So depending upon that, so after expansion, this can be written as 3 into k plus 1. Okay, so this will be as it is, whereas this k cube minus k. Okay, so this k cube minus k, what I will do is, from the assumption stage, see, actually from the assumption stage, we know that k cube minus k is equal to 3m. I'll repeat, from the assumption stage, we know that k cube minus k is equal to 3m. So what I will do is, I will just replace this k cube minus k with 3m, and this I will write as it is. So now I will take 3 common, so I'll be left with m plus k into k plus 1. Somehow this entire term is a multiple of 3. Then clearly this term will be divisible by 3. Correct, right? So if some term is a multiple of 3, obviously it will be divisible by 3 also. Correct, right? Will you agree for this? So now I have proved that even this k plus 1 whole cube minus of k plus 1, k plus 1 whole cube minus of k plus 1, this is also divisible by 3. So hence the result. So is it clear for you, students? If this problem is clear for you, I think the first problem also clearly you can understand. So now you just observe the first problem. So this problem is similar to the previous problem that we have seen. So this time he is telling that we need to prove that 5 divides n to the power of 5 minus 1. 5 is a number, it will divide n to the power of 5 minus 1. This is what we need to prove for all the values of n greater than or equal to 1. So that is what he is telling. See, in the question he has not given the least value. If he does not give anything about the least value, by default you have to take it as for every, okay, see he has taken for every positive integer. So since it is for every positive integer, you can start with 1. Okay, fine. So if I replace with 1, 1 to the power of 5 minus 1 is 0. 5 will divide 0. In fact, every number will divide 0. I repeat, every number will divide 0. So this statement is valid for the least value. Next, what you will do, same story, whatever I told for with respect to the previous problem. So here also it goes same. So next I will assume that k to the power of 5 minus k is divisible by 5. So next, if I tell it is divisible by 5, 5 into some number should give k to the power of 5 minus k. So 5 into m will give k to the power of 5 minus k. So after that, what is the next thing I have to prove? I have to prove k plus 1 whole to the power of 5 minus of k plus 1 is also divisible by 5. Okay. So now previously we had k plus 1 whole cube. Okay, so now we have k plus 1 whole to the power of 5. And what is the expansion for k to the power k plus 1 whole to the power of 5? So for that you have to take the binomial expansion. Okay, so based on the binomial theorem, we know that a plus b whole to the power of n. See, actually for this formula, you have to remember this. You have to remember this formula. Okay, so for this problem, you have to remember the expansion for a plus b whole to the power of n. Yes. Okay, so now based on the expansion of a plus b whole to the power of n, I can write in this way. So same thing. So -1 plus 1 will get cancelled. So now if you observe every term here is a multiple of k. Okay, so no need to worry about all these terms, but only this first one, that is k to the power of 5, and the last one minus k. So here it is not a multiple of 5, but this k to the power of 5 minus of k can be written as 5 into m. From the assumption stage, I can write this k to the power of 5 minus of k as 5m. So now if I replace that with the 5m, now every term is a multiple of 5. So now I can take a 5 now I can take 5 common. If I take 5 common, so this is the remaining thing I'll get. Since it is a multiple of 5, obviously this will be divisible by 5. Okay, so therefore the statement whatever he has given, that is n to the power of 5 minus n, 5 divides n to the power of 5 minus n for all the values of n greater than or equal to 1 is valid. Okay. So any doubts in these two problems, students? Can I go with the next problem? Are you understanding this problem, students? Can I go with the next problem? Okay, let me continue, students. So this previous problem, I'll explain it again. Okay, so it's a little bit different. Okay, so now let us continue with this problem now. So what he is telling, prove that for every positive integer n greater than or equal to 24 can be written as a sum of 5s or 7s. Okay, so here you have to carefully observe, students. He is telling that 5s and or, okay, so either you can use only 5s or you can use only 7s, or you can use a combination of both 5s and 7s. And he is telling that every number greater than or equal to 24 can be represented as a sum of 5s or 7s. Okay, so now since he is telling that every number greater than or equal to 24, so here the least value, the least number will be, minimum number will be equal to 24. Okay, so now I have to first check in the assumption, in the basic step, whether this minimum number can be represented as a sum of 5s and 7s. Okay, so now based on this, if I continue, so let me check that least number, that is 24, can be represented as a sum of 5s and 7s. Okay, so it is possible, right? Because 24 can be represented using 2 5s and 2 7s. So clearly, since I have represented 24 using 5s and 7s, so whatever the statement that he has given is valid. This statement is valid for the least value, that is 24. Next, what I will do, next, as usual, same thing, whatever the procedure I have told you, I will go with the same thing. So next is assumption stage. In the assumption stage, I will assume that the statement is true for n is equal to k. If the statement is true for n is equal to k, obviously I can represent this k using the 5s and 7s. But how many 5s and how many 7s? I don't know, because I don't know the value of k. So since I don't know the value of k, I will just assume that I have used m number of 5s and I have used n number of 7s. Okay, so I have just assumed that the statement is true for n is equal to k, but since I don't know the value of k, I'll just assume, okay, so I will assume that I have used m number of 5s and n number of 7s. So after that, what is the next stage? Next stage is very simple. I need to prove the result. The statement is also valid for the next number. Next number in the sense, obviously k plus 1. Correct, right? So what I will do is I will just add plus 1 on both sides. If I add plus 1, what will happen? So in the LHS, it will become k plus 1. So in the LHS, it will become k plus 1. In the RHS, it will become along with the m number of 5s, along with the n number of 7s, plus 1. But if I have to prove this statement is valid, I have to use only 5 and 7. But here I have used 1 also, right? I should not do that. Somehow I have to replace this 1 and I have to use only 5 and 7. For that, the simple thing is, what I can do is, of course you can solve this type of problems in multiple ways. So in this problem, what he has done is, so 2 7s he has removed. Okay, so 2 7s, if we remove, what will happen? It will be 14. 14 plus 1 will be 15. Correct, right? See here, I have removed 2 7s. Since I have removed 2 7s, now it will become n minus 2. Previously I was using n number of 7s, so now it is n minus 2. Whatever the 2 7s that has been removed, if I add with the 1, it will become 15. So now this 15, what I will do is I will represent as 5 only. Okay, so previously I was having only m number of 5s, so now it will be equal to m plus 3. So finally, how many number of 5s and how many number of 7s you use, it doesn't matter for me. All it matters is just you have to use only 5s and 7s. So using this principle, so clearly this k plus 1 has been represented using m plus 3 number of 5s and n minus 2 number of 7s. Okay, whatever might be the total number of 5s and 7s, but I could able to represent even k plus 1 using the 5s and 7s. Therefore, the given statement is valid as per the principle of mathematical induction. Understood, right? It's a very simple problem, and it is one of the most repeated problem in the exam. Okay, so either sometimes he will give n greater than or equal to 24, and sometimes he will give one more problem is there. Let me just check. Yeah, sometimes he will give n greater than or equal to 14 can be represented as sum of 3s and 8s. The procedure remains same procedure, but instead of 5s and 7s, this time it is 3s and 8s. Okay, so first I will check with the least value, that is n is equal to 14. Yes, 14 can be clearly represented using the 3s and 8s. Okay, so 14 can be represented using 8 plus 3 plus 3. Okay, so after that, I will assume it is true for n is equal to k. So next I need to prove for k plus 1. So now I have m number of 3 and n number of 8 and plus 1 I have. Just if I remove 1 8, just if I remove 1 8, so it will become 8 plus 1 9. Okay, so this 9 can be represented as 3 times of 3. Okay, Okay, so that's all. I think this problem clearly you have understood. So next is the Fibonacci numbers concept. See, this is also the same type of problem. So here he has given the expansion of this. Okay, so you just try to read this problem. So if you have any doubts in this, I'll explain it again. Okay, so it's a similar problem, but the thing is, you know, I think it will be easy for you if I just solve this instead of explaining. Okay, so you just have a look at this problem. Fine. If you have any doubts in that, I'll explain it again. Fine. Because if I teach you that now, it will be a confusion. Okay. So we have now completed the type 1, type 2, type 3 problems. Next is the Fibonacci numbers. After this, we have Lucas numbers. Students, can I continue with the Fibonacci numbers now? Okay. Fine. See, actually, in some of the question papers he have asked, okay, so we already know the general definition for the Fibonacci numbers. The general definition will be equal to, the first number will be equal to 0, the second number will be equal to 1, whereas further the numbers can be calculated recursively using the recursive formula, that is f of n is equal to f of n minus 1 plus f of n minus 2. I think this basic definition for the Fibonacci number everyone knows. Okay, so in the exam, in some of the question papers, he have asked you the definition of Fibonacci numbers and evaluate from F2 to F10, like that he have asked. And the definition you cannot write, in the form of any statements. So all you need to do is you have to just write this formula. Okay, so that is F0 is 0, F1 is 1, and further the remaining values can be calculated using the formula Fn is equal to f of n minus 1 plus f of n minus 2. So this is the definition for the Fibonacci numbers. Fine. And he has told you to evaluate from F2 to F10. Okay, so if you have to evaluate till F10, see how will you evaluate this F10? If you want to evaluate F10, you need F9, F8 values. And if you have to evaluate F9, you need F8 and F7 values. If you have to get the correct answer for F10, all these values you have to correctly evaluate. If you do any mistake here in the F4 or F3, whatever the values you get further, it will be wrong. Okay. In the exam, he will directly check for the last value. F10 should be 55, whether you have got it correct or not. That's what he will check. Okay. So as I have told you, if you have to evaluate from F2 to F10, F2 will be equal to, based on this formula, F2 will be equal to F2 minus 1, that is F1, F2 minus 2, that is F0, and F1, F0 is 0 and 1. Okay, so I think based on this, easily you can calculate this, right? So there is nothing to explain here. So based on the definition of the Fibonacci number, so you will be writing all these things, right? Okay. The only thing is, for the Lucas numbers, when I teach you the Lucas numbers, I'll tell you. So there also this recursive definition will be same, but only the initial values will get changed. That is L0 and L1. Those two values will get changed. So as you know, if the initial values will get changed, all the series of values will also get changed. Fine. Okay, so now let us see this question. See, what he is asking is, if F0, F1, F2 are the Fibonacci numbers, then prove that summation of I is equal to 0 to n, Fi square is equal to Fn into Fn plus 1. So this is the statement that you need to prove for all the values of n greater than or equal to 1. Okay, so based on this procedure remains same. Okay, so here, as I have told you, so here the least value will be equal to 1. So if I replace the value of n with 1, what I will get? Summation of I is equal to, just I have to replace this n with 1. What I will get? Summation of I is equal to 0 to 1. Fi square is equal to, I have to replace only, see actually, most of the students, what they will do is, they will replace I value with 1. So I have seen when I had been to the valuation, I have seen most of the students, what they will do is, see, Fi is there, right? So here in place of I, they will replace with a 1. No, always this n value has to be replaced with 1. Okay, so be careful with that. So this will be equal to summation of I is equal to 0 to 1. Fi square, this will be same. This is not F1, this is Fi. That is equal to F0 into F of, F1 into F of 1 plus 1. Okay, and F1, just a minute. Okay, so this is the expansion for this he has given. So here the RHS will be equal to, if I replace the n with 1, what will happen? F1 into F of 1 plus 1. Okay, so that is F1 into F2. F1 value we already know 1, F2 value is again 1, so it will be 1 only. Whereas LHS, that is summation of I is equal to 0 to 1, Fi square is there, right? So if I expand this, First time the I value will take 0. Next time the I value will take 1. F0 square plus F1 square. F0 is 0 only, F1 is 1 only. So here in the LHS also we got 1. In the RHS also we got 1. So therefore the statement is valid for the least value. Fine. So next, as usual, same thing in the induction stage. Again, it will go in the same procedure. Go with the same procedure. So first I need to assume the statement is true for n is equal to k. Okay, so if I assume that the statement is true for n is equal to k, just I have to replace that n value with the k. So this is the statement that I will get. Okay, so in the notes, what I have done is every step how you will get, I have given the hint here. Okay, so just if you see the notes, since I have given the hint for every stage, you can easily understand these problems. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so as I have told you, so the see, this is the assumption stage. In the assumption stage, I have assumed the statement is true for n is equal to k. Okay, so what is the next statement that I need to prove? I told you, right? The next statement that you need to prove, if you have to get that, just you have to replace the k value with k plus 1. If you do that, so this is the final statement that you need to prove. Okay, so this is the final statement. So how I got this final statement? I got it just by replacing the k value with k plus 1. So it will be equal to summation of I is equal to 0 to k plus 1 fi square, that is equal to f of k plus 1 into f of k plus 1 plus 1, that is equal to f of k plus 2. Okay, so in order to get this final statement, what I will do is first I will take the LHS. Okay, so this is the LHS. So I have taken this, and this LHS I will rewrite in such a way that I can take the help from assumption stage. Okay, so what I have here is summation of I is equal to 0 to k plus 1 fi square. Okay, so this I can write it as summation of I is equal to 0 to k fi square, and the last term I have removed. See, actually, suppose if I have summation of I is equal to 0 to phi I, that is same as summation of I is equal to 0 to 4 I plus phi. Okay, so the last term, instead of including that in the summation definition, I have written it separately. And what is the last term? The last term is k plus 1. Correct, right? So I have written only till k, and the last term I have written with respect to this Fibonacci number, that is f of k plus 1, right? So after why I have written in this way? Because the definition for summation of I is equal to 0 to k fi square, I already know from the assumption stage. That is why I have written in this way. Okay, so now instead of this summation of I is equal to 0 to k fi square, now I can replace that with f of k into f of k plus 1. Okay, so now I have replaced that with f of k into f of k plus 1. This f of k plus 1 whole square, I will this. See, as I have told you, the final answer you already know. That is the advantage of this problem. The final answer you already know. You know it because just by replacing the k with k plus 1. If you replace that, that will be the final answer. Correct, right? So f of k plus 1 into f of k plus 2. Right? So now you have to simplify this expression with you have to simplify this expression so that you will get this terms. Okay, so to do that, what you will do is first you will take the f of k plus 1 common. If you take f of k plus 1 common, you will be left with f of k plus f of k plus 1. And what is this f of k plus f of k plus 1? So for that, what I will do is I will use the general definition for Fibonacci number. Okay, so the general definition for Fibonacci number is f of n is equal to f of n minus 1 plus f of n minus 2. Okay, so I'll just replace the value of n with k plus 2. If I replace the value of n with k plus 2, what I will get? F of k plus 2 is equal to f of k plus 1 plus f of k. Okay, so now I can replace this two terms with f of k plus 2. Correct, right? See, as I have told you, once I share the notes with you, every step how I have got the next stage, I have given the hint here. See, I have, along with the hint, I have also given the example also, right? See, for example, how I can write this how I got this step, how I got this one. So the general definition of Fibonacci, everything I have given. So easily you will get to know. Fine. So the next problem, this is also similar to the previous one. Okay, so you have to solve it in the same way. So first you need to prove that for the least value. I told you, right, if he does not give anything, by default you take the least value as 1. Okay, so using the least value of 1, so he has simplified and he got the same result for LHS and RHS. Since he got the same result for LHS and RHS, so it is true for the least value. After that is the assumption stage. In the assumption stage, you will assume the result is true for n is equal to k. And what is the final expression that you need to prove? The final expression that you need to prove is you'll get to know by just replacing the k value with k plus 1. If you replace that, what will happen? 1 minus of f of k plus 3 divided by 2 to the power of k plus 1. So this side it will become summation of I is equal to 1 to k plus 1 f of I minus 1 divided by 2 power I. Correct, right? So now I will take the LHS of that. Same procedure, whatever I had told for the previous problem, you will be using the same procedure. So now I will replace this LHS in such a way that I can take the help from assumption stage, right? So I have summation will take the value from 1 to k plus 1, but I have written only till k. That k plus 1th term, I have written it separately. Okay. So now I will replace this term. I will replace this term with the assumption stage value. Okay. So after this terms you need to simplify so that you will get this answer. Okay, so that is the only thing that you have to do. So in order to do that, okay, so to do that, what you will do is, so here you will take the LCM, that is 2 power k into 2. Okay, so here you have the common terms 2 power k, so it will be 2 power k into 2. Fine. So next, what you will do? So after that, depending upon that, you will take the values. So you will take the common value. So once you get this final value, what you have to do is just you have to take the help of the general definition of Fibonacci numbers. That is f of n is equal to f of n minus 1 f plus f of n minus 2. And one more hint I will give you. See, actually, some students, they will be in a confusion. What value if I replace with n, I will get this term. You'll be having that confusion, right? So for that, what you have to do is just look at the final answer. The final answer that is required for you is f of k plus 3. Just replace that value with n. Just replace that value, okay, with the n. So just replace k plus 3 with the n. So what you will get? F of k plus 2 plus f of k plus 1. Okay, so directly you can do the reverse engineering also, so that there will be no confusion. Okay, so that is with respect to this. Fine. And this is see, actually, with respect to the Fibonacci numbers, till now in the exam there are only 4 standard questions. One is he will ask the general definition of Fibonacci numbers, and he will ask you to evaluate from f2 to f10. Okay, and these 2 problems already we have seen. And there is one more question. Okay, this one. So this is also one of the most repeated question in the exam. Fine. So after this, the next topic is Lucas numbers. Fine. What I will do is in the next class, I will just continue with the Lucas numbers. So till here, till Fibonacci numbers, you just have a look at these problems. Okay. So I will discuss this last problem. I will discuss again in the next class. Fine. So in the tomorrow class, I will continue with the Lucas numbers. Along with that, I will discuss this last problem. And if you have any doubts in this problem, see, because I'm not solving this problem, I'm just explaining in the notes itself. Explaining the problems in the notes, it's not a good idea, but here I don't have an option. Okay. So if I try to solve this using that board, that is whatever I kept, right? So the place won't be sufficient for me. And if I try to solve it directly on the board, where I used to do that in the beginning classes, sometimes the video gets blurred. Okay. So since I don't have any option, this is the only option that I had. Okay. So what you need to do is, now I will share the notes. Please read it. If you have any doubts in the next class, you can just ask me. I'll explain that problem again. Fine. So as I told you, in the next class, I'll just continue with the Lucas numbers. So before coming to the next class, please just try to have a look at these problems. Okay. So now I will share these notes to the CR. So CR will share for you. Fine. Okay. So now if you have any doubts, you can ask. If you don't have any doubts, you can log out.
Yeah.